Hey guys, what's going on? Druzy here, back again with another South Park Phone Destroyer video, and Ike finally has 4 cards right now in the game. So because of that, we are going to be doing the Best of Ike series. I know that this is a kind of video series that you guys really enjoyed on the channel previously, which I know I haven't done one in quite a hot minute. I'm going to be updating some of my other Best of videos as well, because the meta has been constantly shifting. The balance changes have caused a lot of cards to kind of shift where they rated on my original videos of these topics, so we're going to go ahead and do that. But we're going to start, of course, like I said, with the Ike compilation here today, and we're going to go through the 4 Ikes of the 4 major themes right now. There is a 5th theme coming in about a month and a half or so, possibly, from when I'm recording this video, so when that does come live, maybe that will change these best of videos, obviously, when we have more themes to choose from, and hopefully more of these cards in those themes as well. And when that happens, you know I will be updating these and continuing to make those out when that comes along. But we're going to go ahead and go with the 4 Ikes that are currently in the game right now, and we're going to start with what I think is the 4th best Ike right now in the game, and that is Gizmo Ike. Now, I know what you're thinking, Druzy, epic cards are good now, right? Well, for the most part, yes. Not all of them. There are some very bad apples, the Classy, for instance, and this guy. Gizmo Ike, to me, on paper, seems like he would be a great card, and he is for PvE mostly. He's charged where he splits into multiple Ikes, and that can continue and continue and continue. Now, remember, his stacks, or at least his spawn units, they don't necessarily get overly stronger. They can be wiped out pretty quickly, whether you're using one of the Beybes or whether you're using something like Aerostorm, Fireball, whatever the case is, some kind of wipe card. You can really get rid of those other Ikes pretty quickly. The base stats that you're seeing, it only affects the main Ike that is actually summoned or cast out with that first cast, and then after that, each of the Ikes, I don't really know what their health and damage potential is, but it's not to the same level as the original Ike is. That's I do know that for a fact. So you can't look at it as like, oh man, Druzy, you're getting a whole bunch of Gizmo Ikes at these buffed up stats. That's not necessarily the case. The first Ike is getting those stats, and then the rest of them are just kind of falling into line. It's great for a swarm style effect, which on paper seems like it would be really funny and really cool to kind of see. And again, for PvE, it's one of the best strategies in the game. There are a lot of cool deck ideas that kind of center around using Gizmo Ike and Bounty Hunter Kyle, and then, you know, healing them up and stuff like that, and creating a massive swarm with Hanky or Santa and stuff like that. And it does work in a PvE setting. It does not work, however, in a PvP setting realistically, and it can at sometimes, I guess, some challenge modes it can seem to work out, but for the most part, Gizmo Ike just kind of doesn't seem to really be very strong right now. I don't really know what balance changes could be done to make him better. Maybe lower his energy cost, maybe make his split units be a little bit stronger. I don't really know what the answer is, but I mean, Gizmo Ike, a lot of, you know, on paper looks like he'd be really strong, but in reality, he's just really not that great. I mean, I have him to level 5. He's not quite to max. He's at base level 5. And I don't really use him. I mean, I've been wanting to have an excuse to use Gizmo Ike, and maybe someday I'll level him up. I mean, there's a lot of other sci-fi cards I'm really trying to invest into leveling up right now, so Gizmo Ike's going to be put on the back burner right now with that, in that regard. But maybe someday Gizmo Ike will be valuable, will be useful, and maybe it will be when the new theme comes out, when it will have maybe other cards and other kinds of things that can maybe make him more powerful. I guess we'll just have to wait and see, but as of right now, Gizmo Ike to me is probably the worst Ike in the game currently. Coming in at number 3 is Jew Scout Ike. I know it says Scout Ike on the screen, but Jew Scout Ike has been a leak card since the game was brought into existence, and so in the original card art and the card development, he was, I guess, called Jew Scout Ike, but the Jew was removed. But I'm still going to call him Jew Scout Ike. That's what we call him here on the channel. But Jew Scout Ike is the newest of the Ikes that was just released maybe a few weeks before posting this video. And he has a charge ability where you gain 1 extra energy every time he casts his charge ability. And for a free-to-play style deck, especially someone using Energy Staff and Hermes Kenny for like a energy boost style deck, Jew Scout Ike can be very useful in that regard, and I feel like a lot of free-to-play players will utilize him, and he can be more valuable to you, rather than the more people that are in the higher tiers of ladder that have spent money and have constantly kind of grinded him out. We've seen Jew Scout Ike's level 6 and level 7 stats. There are people that already have obtained him to those levels, and he's not much better. I mean, he's obviously better statistically than what he is here at level 4, at base level 4, might I add. But, you know, I don't see any reason in continuing to pour my materials into Jew Scout Ike at this time, because he's just not really valuable to me as the way he looks right now on paper. So I've kind of stopped leveling him after I got him to level 4. And I've tried him out a little bit. I think that his attack speed is very slow. I think compared to the other Ikes, maybe it's not, but it just feels slower. Even though his charge ability can be useful at times, getting that 1 extra energy back is nice. It makes sense to why he is a 3 energy cost, so it basically makes him a 2 energy cost if you at least get 1 charge. And that's pretty much all you're realistically going to get out of him is just the 1 charge. Don't expect to be getting 4, 5, 6 charges out of a Juice God Ike when he's cast down into a match. It's realistically not going to happen unless you're playing a PvE match and you keep him alive. Then that's possible, but in a PvP style setting, look for Juice God Ike to give you maybe 1 energy at most. So I see him having value in other areas, mostly maybe in a PvE setting, but then you're eliminating the use of a Gizmo Ike who is much better in a PvE setting or, a campaign grind. So, in my opinion, Juice God Ike has, his stats are decent, his attack speed's not that great, and his charge ability is fairly useful, at least more useful to me than a Gizmo Ike in a PvP setting. So that's why he's a little bit higher up on the list, but all in all, Juice God Ike's still not that great of a card, but I still think a little bit better than Gizmo Ike. Coming in third is Smuggler Ike. Now, Smuggler Ike recently received a buff just a few patches ago, in which his attack boost was re-raised back up a little bit. It was extremely high at one point when he was actually meta, especially in the common meta. You just saw Smuggler Ike and Astronaut Butters as being a combination that could take out 1 to 2 bars pretty quickly if you didn't deal with it at the right time. Smuggler Ike has fallen far from grace from that and then received not only the common nerf but then an attack boost nerf, and that really hurt him and made him almost literally unplayable except in challenge modes and maybe in weekend events. And since then, he's got a slight boost to his attack boost, which has made him a little bit more viable and a little bit heavier hitting, but all in all, he's still a common card, which most common cards are pretty terrible. Not all of them, but quite a few of them are not in a good spot right now since the nerf that happened, months ago. So Smuggler Ike still kind of feels the pain of those nerfs that received to the common with the default nerf to health and attack power. But he still has some more value to me than that of both Gizmo Ike and Juice God Ike, just because he can actually hit a little bit faster, hit a little bit harder, and he's a cheaper energy cost. And he still has some value, I think, with his charge ability, being able to increase that damage, where maybe you can sneak out some sneaky damage if he's not dealt with in the right time or the right context. And the fact that now with the resurgence of something like Pocahontas Randy, or even a Medicine Woman Sharon, you could possibly have the ability to heal Smuggler Ike a couple of times with Medicine Woman Sharon and keep him in the fight longer, continue to boost up that attack boost damage, and be able to be more valuable. That's a possibility. It's not necessarily going to always happen, but I think Smuggler Ike still has a little bit more value than the other 2 previous Ikes we mentioned. That's why he's a little bit higher up on the list. But yeah, I mean, Smuggler Ike's still not stellarly amazing, but I mean, out of all the Ikes to choose from, he's probably second best easily, in my opinion. And probably the best Ike right now in the game right now, in my opinion, is Canadian Ike. And Canadian Ike, out of the fantasy theme, is kind of hit and miss as far as his strength. He was, at one point, absolutely devastating when you had the Hanky and Robin Tweak combo with him in the previous past. He is nowhere near quite to that strength of level as he was before. A level 6 Canadian Ike and a level 6 or 7 Robin Tweak would pretty much guarantee you a victory. I mean, unless you really devastated or unless you really devoted all of your units to taking out Canadian Ike very quickly with a bunch of assassins and a bunch of, or even just a direct cancel card. It was almost to the point where you had to direct cancel Canadian Ike. He was that powerful, and people weren't really running direct cancels to anywhere near the extent that we are now. Now with all the strong legendary cards and all of the beefier, even epic cards, to where you're not seeing people cancel out a Canadian Ike. He can still be devastating and still have potential. His heal is nice. He's still useful in challenge mode. He's still useful in grinding in both ladder and PvP. If you have him to a respectable level, he can be useful. I've seen him be very devastating even in team wars at times, because of some people still have him to a really good level from when he was much stronger a little while ago. And if you guys remember Blake420, who was constantly posting South Park Phone Destroyer content here on the channel, and please, Blake, come back and post more stuff, man. We all miss you. But this was his favorite card in the game. He used him a lot. He made a lot of wacky combinations with Canadian Ike, and they were some of the greatest content I've ever seen here on YouTube for South Park Phone Destroyer content. If you guys haven't checked that out, please check out Blake420's channel. If you guys want me to, I can pin his channel down in the comment section down below. But he has plenty of content with Canadian Ike for obvious reasons, because he was a very good card at one point and still viable in certain situations right now, but I don't think he's anywhere near to the extent of OP that he was at one point. If you guys remember that time, he was very frustrating to deal with. I mean, you saw Canadian Ike, you saw Robin Tweak come down, you knew Canadian Ike was next, or you saw Canadian Ike, you knew Robin Tweak was coming next, and then it was just pretty much cry or pray that you had to cancel to deal with it. But I digress. Canadian Ike is still the better of the four Ikes in my opinion, although the Ikes are probably not in a very good spot right now, realistically. But, I mean, he's probably the cream of the crop overall, which I'm sure many of you will agree with that. But let me know down below, as you guys always do with this breakdown video, if you agree, disagree with any of the selections that I made or the rankings that I gave for these Ike cards. You know, I'm always up to your opinion, always, you know, interested in what you guys have to say about it. But, you know, I really missed making these videos. I know you guys really enjoyed them. I enjoyed making them. So look for them to be making a strong comeback, especially when the new theme launches in July. We should have a lot more of these to come out, and I'm really excited to be continuing this series going forward here on the channel. They were some of the funner stuff that I made. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys continue to enjoy the content here on the channel. I'm continuing to bring much more South Park Phone Destroyer content. It's not going anywhere for myself, even though some of you think this game is dead. I disagree with that statement. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, guys, my name is Druzy.